Yes, and welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with Charms. It's been a minute, but we're here, We don't look at the past, we look at the present, we look at the future. And today, right in this moment, we're talking Chelsea and we're talking England. It's been a little international week. Thomas Tuchel's managed to get the troops together and play some ball. 5 goals scored, 0 goals conceded. Granted, the competition could have been a little bit stronger, but it is what it is, and we are where we are. And Chelsea, listen, we're at the back end of it now. It's go time. Will we make fourth? What's our team going to look like? Let's figure it all out. Stadium chat, a bunch. But first thing we'll talk about is where we started this video, which is England. Great work from the boys. Come on, you boys. England looking sharp, man. Thomas Tuchel's at the wheel. It's about damn time. We've been waiting to see what he would look like when he fielded England. Obviously, at first, I think it goes without saying, a lot of people had some questions about his team selection. Picking certain young players like Miles Lewis-Kelly was interesting to me. But it makes sense, get them the experience. It's just funny to see Dan Burn and players like that, Jordan Henderson in the mix, clearly wanting a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge being absorbed in that dressing room. And I can understand that, I think that there was quite a bit of almost backlash, I would say, about the Jordan Henderson coming with us. But I like it. I think it shows a want to kind of spread that knowledge and make tactically the correct decisions. In big moments, you're going to need big players that are going to keep their head, they're going to make the right call. You're going to need players that are going to be able to direct other players into the right temperament. And as I said, the example of Miles Lewis-Kelly, fantastic player, but if there was one thing that you've got to pinpoint in his game, it's his attitude problem. His disciplinary record is appalling, to be totally frank, especially for how young his career is. So for players like Jordan Henderson, with such a tenured career, such a calm person in the dressing room, I think that could really have positive effects on these younger players. So where a lot of people were a bit more concerned or confused and didn't think that it had much longevity or foresight, I kind of argue the opposite. I think that you can't just put all of these young killers in there. You can't put all of these guys with so much potential in each position, because the potential only does so much. You're going to need people that are going to need to lead the dance. You're going to need people that are going to be able to guarantee that they can play those matches, 90 minutes, start those matches, no problems, and then be able to weasel them out while we get closer and closer to these tournaments. The other thing is that I like the fact that there's a lot of young leaders in there. There's a lot of Tino Livramento, Ezri Konsa. These players who I think have got a really good temperament for their age and have got a really good control of their emotions in these moments. And players that can perform in the big stage because of it. And I think that about Ezri Konsa. I think he's a leader. I think as a Chelsea fan, this is a player that we've been interested in. And I think that's why. It's because there's not really many leaders in the Chelsea dressing room. And I would argue the same about England, bar the very obvious, the Harry Kanes and, as I said, the Hendersons and whatnot, but the Kyle Walkers. These younger kids, they've either got it or they don't. And what I like about this England side overall, pretty much, is the younger kids that don't have it, the Curtis Joneses, those ones that might be still a bit lippy and chatty, they will have the good influences around them to stop that. And everyone else in the side who's young and up and coming, they're very solid mentally. They're very understood. They know their role, they know how to play it, and they're gonna just do that. And I think that's gonna bring us a long way, because years in the past, you look at that golden era of 2006, where you do have leaders across the pitch, with John Terry and Rio Ferdinand, and the midfield three, Scholes, Lampard and Gerrard. They're all leaders, don't get me wrong. It's just together, I don't think the temperament was really there. I think that it's a bunch of people that know how good they are, and they'll do just that. They'll play football well, But we can't have that. We need people that are going to understand each other on a metaphysical level. You know, they're going to know where the runs are coming in, and they're going to want to play that pass. And he's going to be thinking Eze's going to be here, and you know Curtis is going to be down that flank, and I think that is slowly what we're grooming in this England side. He's a bunch of players that have grown up together, played in these big sides together, and want to win together and want to win for England. And Thomas Tuchel's the perfect manager for that. Overall, I think we're in a fantastic place as a country, and I think that these two games have shown it. You know, 5 goals and 0 goals conceded is a far cry from England. And then, you know, bar that, you can look at the 9 shots on target and the 8 shots off target to 1 and 1. And when we've had no offsides, they've had 2. You know, they're breaking the line and they're not having it work. And we're constantly pushing, and they can't get us offside. You know, they can't find us out of shape or out of rhythm, where we can do it with ease, to be totally honest. So yeah, I think we've got to be excited as a nation for this upcoming World Cup next year. We just got to get through the qualification, see how England play. And yeah, I think we can march on through it and do pretty well. You know, I pegged this on to win the Euros. We got to the final. I don't think I was too far off. I think that there was a couple of things that we could have done to win the Euros, like start Cole Palmer, particularly in the final, be a bit more direct at points. But I think that the whole country agrees with the sentiment, and I think that's why Southgate ultimately isn't in with a job at the minute. Next topic, we'll just run back over to Chelsea. A lot of people been a bit frustrated with how Chelsea have been recently. Performances. Cole Palmer obviously not been in the highest point of his career. He's probably been in the lowest point of his professional career. But I'm not mad. You know, I keep this sentiment week by week. I'm happy that we're going to get top 4 because we're going to, and it's interesting saying that, because at the beginning of the season, that was the target, was to get top 4. But I think we overachieved for points in the season, particularly early in the season. And now we're on the cut. Now there was a little bit of a wobble. We're on the bounce back trail. We're back in stead form. Nicholas Jackson's finally back. Finally, my God, that felt like he was out for 2-3 months. He was. So I think that will have a massive contribution directly on Cole Palmer, and you know what he's able to do with the football, and how he's able to conduct himself around a football pitch. He's been a bit slow and off the paces. I feel like he's needed that runner. He needed to calm down a little bit. It was almost like he was too calm, and now he's clearly overthinking. And yeah, it's a difficult point for him. But yeah, once again, Nicholas Jackson's back, so hopefully he can get back into it. And it doesn't need to go with any further explanation, but Reece James is the best right back in world football. His performances for England have been phenomenal. Both of them. Obviously, the goal that he scored, world-class free kick from 30 yards. This is what he does. But for Chelsea as well now, man. It's been like 8 games in a row. I've been very impressed. The consistency is key for me. You know, with Reece James, I've always said I want to see him play half a season before I say and make any comments about him. But he's just so hard to take your eye off. You know, he's so good on the ball. His passing range is just disgusting at this point. You know, you give him the ball at right back, the way that he loops that ball, spinning them over the top. A better striker of the ball. He's getting a hat-trick week in, week out with the delivery he's getting. And I know that's what we struggle with at the moment, is we don't really have a striker like that. So get one in, and I promise you, Reece James is topping the assist charts. If you think Trent Alexander-Arnold's got a whip on him, I'm telling you, Trent's got nothing on Reece James. When it comes to that delivery into the box, it's peas and pears. They're not even comparable at this point. I had to make that one up on the spot, by the way, because that was not at the top of the brain. But yeah, Reece James, best right back in the world. Chelsea, a little bit off the paces, but will be coming back round. There's been a lot of talk recently about stadium rebuild and, you know, wanting to leave Stamford Bridge. I can understand it. I'm not a big fan of the idea. I like the idea of, you know, the fact that we've got the oldest stadium. I think we can milk it for a bit longer. I like the more tight feeling of Stamford Bridge. I like that. It feels like a football club, you know. It feels like a hub for fans to congregate, and it doesn't feel like a money grab like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium does. Because I've been there, and you know, it does feel like cool and nice and modern. But it's a bit too much for me, lad. It's just too nuanced and new, and it's too much of a quick profit And I don't care. I just want to go play fucking football. Which is why I lost Stamford Bridge. So yeah, I really hope we don't get rid of it. Overall, I think England are in good stead to do fantastic things, and I think this international period has shown that. I love international football. I think Chelsea have done well this season, and I think that we need to count our blessings and look onward and upward to when we get in players like Giovanni Kenda, and when we get in Paez, and when we get in Esteval, and then all of these players. I think that the future's bright for us. Also, obviously, Reece James, best right back in world football. Don't even think about forgetting to like and subscribe. If you made it this far to the video, I want to see what do we think this week. Ice cold emojis. Look ice cold, look ice cube in the comment section, and I know you're tapped in. God bless, take care. See Money Picks out.